Buenas tardes, voy a hablar español.
Good afternoon. I'm going to be speaking Spanish because that's my native language. I'm going to try to explain some of the activities that we developed in Haiti after the earthquake. In order to start this particular component, we're going to see where Dominican SSID was located in Haiti. SSID started working in Haiti after 2010. The point of departure for working was the earthquake. All the support left Haiti and left the Dominican Republic and went into Haiti via road. We noticed on our frequent trips from Dominican Republic to Haiti via this highway that there were many camps along the highway, and nobody was taking care of them. Nobody was paying any attention. And so on one of our trips, we stopped and spoke to some of the people living in the camps, and we spoke to them, and we realized that there was a need for a program of support to people who had been displaced into football camps as a result of the earthquake. We started with a program of 667 houses of affected families in 2 camps. And as a result of this, we established contact with these people and we did a census. And after the census, we reduced it to just over 300 families. And those are the families that we're still supporting today. The people were living in very small houses. They were living in tents, and we provided them with support for their tents so that they could be stronger. We also gave them some food. We also provided some emergency aid, medicines, water, clothes, blankets, additional tents. And we established a commitment to help them in the long term so that we can help them build up their houses a bit better, construct the houses over time. The general objectives of the project were to provide dignified houses to the families who were affected by the earthquake. And we stressed dignified houses. We wanted to reduce the level of insecurity of the houses, improve their quality of life, and provide collateral support via other programs which favored food security, drinking water, animal husbandry, drinking water, and environmental protection. Those are the different projects that we started and which are still being implemented in that zone. Another one of the objectives that we had was to provide to establish alliances in the community so that they could provide more support and so that they could increase their resources and increase the nutritional level of the families. Specific objectives: we wanted to help build 356 houses to an equal number of families and we decided to do this over 4 years. But because of limited support financially, we have not been able to completely reach that target. We had an integrated community development approach, so we wanted to provide microcredit for the families, education, and a disaster reduction program. DRR for short. So these are the different components of the program in two communities called Gantier and Buen, and these are on the border between Haiti and the Dominican Republic. And the 356 families are distributed across two camps where they worked after the earthquake. The two communities are called Buen and Gantier. Our objective was to construct all the houses required in the community for the 356 families in our area of intervention. And our objective was to reduce to minimize the poverty levels in this area, in these zones. And in order to continue doing this work, we need to have continuous contact with members of the community, but also other organizations that could possibly have an intervention in that area. What do we need? Housing is one of the most important needs in that community. Just as the panelists have said this morning, even before the earthquake, there was a huge deficit in housing. With the earthquake, exacerbated that housing deficit. And in addition to the deficit in housing, the existing houses were not of good quality. And on top of that, we have thousands of people who were living in the streets, in the camps. So we have been able to construct 181 houses since 2011 until now. We have not been able to reach the goal yet, but we've built about 175, and we're still hoping to reach the other vulnerable families in the community. And we're hoping that we can reach out to other institutions that can help us to reach this goal. In order to further our goals, we need cooperation, we need alliances which are strategic, we need people who are committed, and we need agencies that are committed, who can continue to provide support so that we can realize the objectives that we've established and to meet the needs of these communities. Okay, housing has many components, but the geographical area where the housing projects are located, we've already said they're actually along the side of a road. The social and economic characteristics are extreme poverty, poor housing or lack of housing, poor basic services such as drinking water and water for cooking and for cleaning. There is a lack of electricity. There is insufficient health care and insufficient educational services. The economy in Buen and Gantier is essentially based on subsistence agriculture and some small micro businesses. Most of the agriculture is for domestic consumption. There's very little excess which can be sold. There's also some and so that they can have a little bit of food to feed their children who have to go to school. So the houses are being built by the very members of the community with assistance from the different organizations working here.
para dotarle a esas familias.
Many of these families did not originally have their own land.
Hecho el censo grande,
Having done the census,
todos los 356 tenían
all the
tierra, entonces hicimos un
356
trabajo con ellos para construirle.
that we found
Y
had
los
their
demás
own
que no
land,
tenían
and
nada,
other people who didn't have
sencillamente
land,
lo dejamos a
we
la
had to
intemperie porque no teníamos la
not
facilidad
help them. We
para
could not
poder
help those who did
trabajar,
not
ni
have land,
siquiera ponerlo en una lista
because
porque
we could not
teníamos o no tenemos la posibilidad
we
de
could not
tierra
even put them on the
para
list because
trabajar
they
con
did not
ellos.
have
Es
access to
decir,
land
ellos son
themselves.
propietarios de
So
la
the
tierra de
people that
alguna
we have
manera,
helped are
ya
owners of
sea
their
que
own
sus
land.
padres murieron y le dejaron
In many
herencia ese
cases, their
terreno, ya
fathers
sea que
owned the
algunos lo han
land
comprado
and they
o hayan
inherited the land
adquirido
from them.
algunas donaciones.
And some of
Ahora,
them
lo que sí
were
nosotros hicimos con el
donated
Estado,
land.
representado por el ayuntamiento, es coordinar para que algunas de las personas que estaban usando algún terreno del Estado pudiera el ayuntamiento darle un documento que certifique
So the
que pueda
municipal
usar ese
authorities were
terreno
able to
como
give
propietario,
certificates to people
para que no haya problemas más
so
adelante.
that there would be no difficulties in
Ahora
terms of
podemos
land
hablar cuáles
registration
son
or
las
quarrels
organizaciones que han
relating to
hecho
who
las
owned the
alianzas
land. So in some
estratégicas hasta
cases, the
donde
state
hemos
was able to
llegado hoy.
provide those
Bueno,
certificates.
tenemos ACFEA,
We have
que
many
es Asociación
organizations
de Hombres y
that
Mujeres
got involved
Evangélicos en Acción, que
in
está en
this
Galicier.
project.
AGDB, que
We
es
have the Association
Asociación
of
de
Evangelical Men
Jóvenes
and Women in
para el
Action.
Desarrollo de Buen.
We have the Association of Youth
Después
for
de eso está
Development
el
of
Servicio
Buen.
Social de Iglesias Dominicanas.
We have SSID, my own
Está
institution.
Church World Service,
Church World Service was there.
Christian Aid,
Christian Aid was there.
Eco Cooperation,
ECO, which is Dutch Corporation.
y
ECHOS,
UMCOR,
and
Unidad Metodista
UMCOR,
de
which is the
Conflicto y
United
Resolución.
Methodist Committee on
Estas
Relief.
son las
So
organizaciones
these are the local
que
and
han hecho
international
como por
organizations that
especie
work
de un
together.
consorcio
They worked
para
through a
poder
consortium
ayudar a estas
to
personas.
support these people.
Descripción del proyecto.
So we're going to
Es el
describe the
tipo de
project.
vivienda que
This
nosotros
is the type of
construimos.
project, this is the type of
Este
house that we were
proyecto
able to
consiste
build.
en la construcción y reparación de vivienda y
We
letrinas para
constructed
familias
and
que
we also repaired
salieron
existing
de
houses,
esos dos
including
campamentos
latrines,
a
for the
las cuales
people who lived in
nosotros
camps.
le estábamos dando seguimiento desde el terremoto.
And these are the communities and families that we were supporting
Las
since the
viviendas
earthquake.
corresponden a casas individuales
There were
de una
individual
habitación,
houses with one
dos
or
habitaciones,
two or
tres
three
habitaciones
bedrooms
para dormir. Además de eso comprende con galería,
and a
sala
porch
comedor,
and a living
cocina,
area and a
letrina,
kitchen
entre otros.
and a
Eso va a
latrine.
depender del número de personas que
So
viven en la familia.
the house size of the house depended on the size of the family.
Estas casas son construidas de bloc,
The blocks were used to construct the
piso de
houses,
cemento
cement
y
blocks,
zinc,
cement floor,
y con
and
una
zinc.
estructura preparada
And the
por si
structure
hay sismo
of the house
y
was
si hay huracanes
earthquake resistant
que
and also
puedan
hurricane
llegar en la
resistant.
zona. Además, tomamos en cuenta
We also took into
lo que
consideration
es los parámetros de esfera
the SPHERE,
para
international
poder
guidelines called
construir
SPHERE guidelines
dichas viviendas,
for
para
the
que sean
construction of houses,
resistentes, pero que
in order to make
también
sure that
puedan tener privacidad entre la familia.
the requirements of SPHERE and government of Haiti
Otros
requirements were
subprogramas.
followed.
Tenemos
The
también
participating
programas de
families that benefited from the
microcrédito,
houses also benefited from microcredit and micro business support,
seguridad alimentaria,
some food security support,
capacitación de riesgos y
capacity
desastres,
building in disaster risk
salud
reduction,
preventiva,
preventative
primeros
health,
auxilios
first aid,
y desarrollo de capacidades
and
para los dos comités,
development of local
para que
capacities,
cuando el servicio no esté, ellos puedan seguir avanzando.
so that when we are not there, they can carry on with
Costo
their
de la
community
vivienda.
development project. The cost of the houses.
Tenemos tres tipos de viviendas.
As I said, there were three types of
La de una
houses.
habitación cuesta
The one-bedroom
$7,000,
houses cost
la
$7,000
de dos,
US.
$10,000,
The two-bedroom
y la de
houses
tres,
cost $10,000,
$12,000.
and the
Así
three-bedroom
anda
houses
el
cost
proceso
$12,000.
de esas viviendas. Ahora vamos a ir a las metas.
So let's see if we've achieved our
Construcción y
goals.
reparación de 356 viviendas
We
en
have
Florida,
constructed and repaired
al igual número de
356.
familias afectadas por el terremoto en la comunidad
No,
de
sorry, these are the goals. The goals were to construct and repair 356 houses and latrines, and the other goal was to improve the quality of life of the participating families. Because we don't want to just give a house and that's it. We want to provide through an integrated community development approach, which would improve their overall standard of life.
Construir 143 viviendas, reparar 38, total de familias beneficiadas 181, proporción lograda hasta el momento es el 50.84%. Tenemos 85 personas apoyando el microcrédito y producción pecuaria 55 y en formar capacidades en otras materias.
So we have been able to build 38 houses, no, 143 houses, repaired 38, 181 families participated, 51% achieved the goal of the 356, 181 latrines built, 85 got microcredit, 55 families in agricultural production, and 110 families benefited from capacity building. We're also going to be inaugurating a number of houses next week, Friday, when we go back. What were the criteria for selection of families so that the families could participate in this integrated? The first one is that they had to be people who were dislodged from their homes as a result of the earthquake, people with disabilities, single mothers with young children, older people. And on top of that, they also have to provide themselves some kind of contribution in cash or in kind. So they need to be able to prove that they can contribute in some way so that the house can be proven to be theirs at the end of the project. From the very start of the project, we negotiated with local authorities, and we worked with all of the stakeholders in the community so that we could realize the project, design and realize the project. We did it in a very participatory way. As you can see, people were owners of the house, were also constructing their own house or repairing their own house, and the community also got involved in the process. Right now, we have about 175 houses that we still need to build, but we don't have enough money to do that. We don't have enough money to continue with the construction of 175 houses. What are our recommendations? Multilateral organizations and donors need to use organizations like ours as well as local organizations for these kinds of projects, because we can see that we've been successful. We have had results. And multilateral organizations and donors need to dedicate more resources to reduce the deficit of houses for those people affected by the earthquake. And the donors need to keep a link between agencies and the implementing organizations to do monitoring and follow-up. The other recommendation is for the government of Haiti. The government of Haiti should establish a construction policy, a policy for the construction of dignified houses for families in need. People have spoken about Mon Cabri and other housing projects, but these houses are really quite difficult for the families living there. The government of Haiti also needs to design and implement a program of urban planning. And on top of that, the government of Haiti should facilitate to local organizations that are working in construction some components so that they can continue working on these projects. This is what was already being said in the panel this morning. These projects need to be viable and they need to be realizable. I think that is what I wanted to say. I want to invite everybody who is here that the 28th this week we're going to be inaugurating the final 37 houses that we have constructed in Haiti. We're going to be doing an inaugural act to celebrate with the participants the construction of these additional 37 houses. Thank you very much.